Good afternoon. I'm the original very old unicorn, and this is Auto Dysfunction. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to inspect your own vehicle. Okay, so you just picked up a vehicle and you're unsure of the condition of how things are. How do you check that out? I'm going to show you. Let's come along. So for this episode's example, we're going to be using the 2006 Mercury Mariner. So the first thing you should do is start walking around your car. Look for anything that's going on with it. Give it a little shake. Make sure nothing is like loose or rattly. Check here for the gap. Make sure it's consistent on both sides. That'll show you if there's like anything funky with the bodywork. This is also a good time to take a look at your paint. See how it looks. Mine's not the best. It's got some scratches and stuff here in it. Keep walking around. Make sure your mirrors are secure. Good time to check on your doors. Make sure all your latches work. So right there is an example of a bad latch. You can sometimes get away with just pushing it back, but if your latch can come like that and stay open, it's probably something wrong. Go ahead and check your seats. Make sure everything goes back and forth like it's supposed to. This is a good time if you got footrest or whatever, or a good way to get on top of your vehicle. Go ahead and take a peek. Make sure everything's intact up here. See if your seals are worn in your sunroof. You can like check here, give it a feel. See how the rubber feels. Mine feels okay. Check your roof rack if you got it. See if there's any flex. Mine's got a little bit of flex here, so I might want to tighten that down. Let me see if I can show it a little better. It was doing it. Now it won't do it. But yeah, that was a little flex. Check your running boards. See if there's like any rust or anything funky going on. Give it a shake. A little bit of rust, but not atrocious. Nothing really to be alarmed about. Check your tires. See how the tread looks. I have decent tread on this one, but you should also see how old your tires are. That's the thing a lot of people never do. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. So the last two digits here is the year that this tire was produced. So mine are from 14, so these tires are from 2014. That makes them a few years old, don't it? Check your front tires as well. See if there's any abnormal wear, especially. This will show if you have any alignment issue or anything going on. Tread seems like it's wearing fairly evenly on mine. Just a little old. So, if you happen to have a Ford Escape / Mazda Tribute / Mercury Mariner, you know that you actually have not one, but kind of two sort of trunks. The first trunk is your glass. You hit that little button there, and it opens it up. You want to go and see if these struts are bad. If it closes right back down like that, they're bad. But you can also physically look at them and see if they're like oily or something. Mine actually feel dry and look dry for the most part, but they're still bad because they don't hold that up anymore. You want to go ahead and check Your main struts as well for the rear latch. Those seem to be in working order. If you have folding seats, make sure they do what they're supposed to do. It should be a nice and easy fluid motion like that. No effort really involved. You want to check your lights for any cracks or deformation. Not seeing anything on these two. What about the fronts? No cracks, just a little hazy. Same, no cracks, just a little hazy, a little dirty. Good time if you have them. Check your fog lights, see if their lenses are all intact. Mine look a little hazy, but no cracks or anything. Next up, you're going to want to find your hood release and pop your hood. Let's see what's underneath. Okay, so you're under your hood, and on a lot of cars, you might actually immediately first see your belt configuration. I have the 3-liter V6, so if I look at that and follow these belts here, you'll actually see, well, you can't really see that far down, but they are actually properly aligned. But while you're there, you want to go ahead and, here we go, give those belts a good yank. Make sure they're nice and firm, but still, you know, rubbery, elastic feeling. Mine feel quite well intact. Next, you're going to want to check your dipstick. See how much oil you got in the car. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys know about a little trick and hint here. That first draw you have in the oil is not your actual level. You're going to want to wipe your dipstick down. Get it nice and dry again. Put it back into the dipstick tube. Pull it back out. And now check your level. This is your true oil level right here. See, when we first looked at it, it looked low. But on the second draw, it's actually right where it's supposed to be, between the two dots. Maybe a little high, but that's not the worst. The next thing you might see is your AC system. You want to go in there and see if your service caps are missing or intact. Mine is missing one. And actually, this brings me to another point. See this green dye in here? So that means somebody was leak testing your AC system. If you ever see that on a service port like that, that means at one point they thought there was a leak there, or there may still currently be a leak in your AC system. If you got a coolant overflow reservoir type deal like this that's under pressure, you do not want to release its pressure if the car has been running. Mine was ran recently, so I'm not going to do that. You just want to go in there and make sure there's some coolant in there. It doesn't look like it's low or dirty. Up, you're going to want to pull your transmission dipstick and just kind of look at the fluid. You don't really need to check the level as much as check the condition of the fluid. Mine looks kind of red but dirty-ish. So this vehicle looks like it was probably recently serviced based upon that. But if you pull in and say it's like black or has these like shiny flakes in it, that's a sign that the transmission needs a service, or there might be some other funkiness going in. Next, you want to wiggle at your battery cables. What? Yeah, so sometimes you'll get a car and the cables are just loose. Make sure your hold down is secure. And while you're in there, go ahead and just sort of pull at any wires that are directly connected to the battery and make sure they're all secure. Next up, we're going to check our brake fluid. And, well, Lighting is not doing its best, but I can put my finger in there and you can see that there's some nice clean-esque fluid coming out. While you're in there, you want to make sure it's at the correct fill level. You might not see if yours is like sort of a whitish color like that. You just, again, you pop the cat and you know, make sure it's roughly there. Mine was like right here because my finger barely went in and touched brake fluid there. So that one's nice and topped off. Next up, you want to go ahead and check your air filter. 1, make sure you have one in there. 2, see if it's like clean or dirty. You shouldn't have to move too much to see. So mine looks like it's fairly new. So that's going to be a good part there. And I'm just going to close that right back up. And yeah, while you're in here, you want to go ahead and look over just sort of loosely over the motor and see if there's any sign of like oil or stuff building up. My engine's looking fairly dry and healthy for the most part. I'm not seeing any signs of seepage or nothing. You want to check your coolant hoses. Make sure they feel correct. Mine feel nice and coolant hosey. Okay, so you've inspected everything that you can see with your naked eye. And you've not noticing too much, but you still want to go further. What's your next step? Okay, well, next you're going to actually want to get lower with the vehicle and start looking for things underneath. Check the condition of your brakes, for instance. Camera's not doing the best job showing it, but these are looking a little worn. You want to go ahead and also check your rear brakes, see if they're doing anything similar. These actually look like they're wearing a little bit more evenly, but I still have suspicions because the vehicle is sat. If you can, you want to try to duck under your vehicle and just start roughly looking at things. See if anything looks kind of rusty or suspicious. Things are kind of rusty down here for sure, but nothing is apparently suspicious. You're gonna want to go definitely under the very front of your car and see if there's any signs of see that brown shiny stuff there? That is an oil leak. This is exactly why you want to do some vehicle inspections to see if you're have anything that's wrong. So while you're in the inside of your rear wall, you can get a pretty good shot of the condition of your strut. And mine's looking a little spent there. If your vehicle has four-wheel drive like mine, you're going to also want to go under the rear of your car and take a look at your differential and see if it's been leaking anything. Mine's got a little bit of seepage going on, but nothing alarming per se. Axles appear to be in intact condition. So, let me show you guys something. Zoom in a little bit better. Yeah, so if you look at this, the rubber here is a little bit bad. So this shock for that being has a bad bushing. So if you have one with bad bushings, you should definitely check its sister and see how it's doing. This one also seems to have the same dry rotted bushings and a little bit of rust. So yeah, those are probably bad. So on some four-wheel drive vehicles, right underneath the passenger area is actually where the tire is mounted. This is a good time to go ahead and check your spare. See how it's looking. For the most part, it's looking factory intact.
So I have no reason to believe that is a necessarily unsafe tire.
Okay, next up, you're going to want to just jack your car up and really get underneath it. You're going to want to support all four corners, so you're going to need 4 jack stands with your jack. Let's get set up. Okay, so you have the vehicle evenly jacked up now. All four corners are above the ground. Next up, you're going to want to go to each wheel and give it a little shake. Let me show you how that goes. So yeah, you're going to want to grab both sides of your tire pretty firmly and give yourself a good little wiggle. See if you feel any sort of shakes and shimmies. This side feels nice and good. Now repeat that step for all four wheels and, see if you notice anything, hear anything, feel something. Okay, next up, you're going to want to take all four wheels off and start checking your brakes out. Next up, now that you have all your lug nuts loose, take them the rest of the way off. And you're going to want to go and kind of palm hit the front of your tire here. That'll break it free. And now you can get to your brakes and see how they are. Let's do that for all four wheels. So next up, you're going to want to actually, now that you have all the wheels off, go in there and inspect your rotors and pads and see how much of each is left. Now in my case, I have these nice handy dandy sort of measuring tools. It gives me millimeters and stuff. I think you can look these up, find them pretty easily online. Take a look at our pads and shove one of these bad boys in there. Now, mine is in the green, so those are good. What about the back side? Always check your back side, because just because it's good on the front doesn't mean they're good in the rear. But other than some iffy awareness, I would say those are good to run till they're done. Let's do the same for the rear. See if any of it is in the green. No, not quite a green. What about a yellow? Yeah, the yellow looks good. Well, despite initial feelings, I would say these brakes are actually 100% A-okay. Moving on, now that you've inspected your brakes, this is a good time to see how the rest of your suspension components are doing now that they're exposed. In my case, some of these are looking a little suspect. That's a little dry rot. Not terrible, not amazing. This strut is seen better days. Getting a better eye on the rear. So yeah, this control arm's fairly rusted, but everything's there. I wouldn't even bother replacing it unless the bushings were making noise. Oh yeah, but this bushing is hella bad. That's gonna be fun. Well, that's gonna do it for the inspection of this vehicle. It turns out we didn't need to change the brakes on it, even though we did experience a braking issue. Now, if you are experiencing a braking issue and you check your brakes and they're fine, where else might you be getting a braking issue? Let me show you where I'm fairly certain mine is being caused by. So remember the tires earlier? The rears have very good tread. However, if we go to our front tires, they're significantly less tread. I would argue not enough tread for adequate braking. What about our other tire? If you look at this tire, you can literally see where I tried to do some braking and it didn't really agree with me. But yeah, you can see these tires are fairly thin and dry rotted. That will also cause quite a braking issue. So in my case, the repair for my braking system is actually going to be a set of tires. Thanks once again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm the original Very Old Unicorn, and this has been Auto Dysfunction. Bye.